Hey guys, it's Dusty here, and I think that the fact that I'm sitting in my minivan in the parking lot of the softball field while my husband practices with his softball team and my children play on the playground is quite ironic. When it comes to the fact that we're talking about time management today, or maybe it's a good sign, but I wanted to share with you all a little bit about how I run my business and fit it in with a busy life, especially as an upper level leader, because as you all know, we have a little bit more responsibility than team leaders or senior team leaders. Our teams typically are larger, they might come to us more often, and we're leading leaders and not just consultants. For those of you who don't know me very well, I have 5 children, and I'm a homeschooling mama, so my life is pretty much chaos all the time. My children are always with me. There is no off time. And so, unlike some people, I have to manage my business amidst my children all the time. Now, if you're a stay-at-home mom and you still have very young children, then you understand what I'm talking about. There's no sending them off to school all day or having hours that they're out of the house. So I am very high gold. Gold is my top color, but you might be surprised to find that the thing that works the best for me is to not have a rigid work schedule. So when I say that, some people kind of look at me a little funny, because you always hear people saying that they have office hours. They have set blocks of time throughout the day or the week where they sit down and they really hone in on their business. And that's really awesome. And I actually, the gold in me really wishes that I could do that, but it's just not something that fits well into my lifestyle right now. So I believe that it may have been Tabitha that once said somewhere a couple of years ago, and it really just hit home with me, that instead of having set work hours, have set hours where you do not work. And this gives you the flexibility to fit in your business throughout an otherwise chaotic, if you want to say, routine. So for me, my non-negotiable work times are typically from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Unless it's just a busy season, like during a kit special when there's an influx of new recruits, or sometimes during the fall selling season. For the most part, I'm pretty structured that between the hours of 9 a.m. and 1 p.m. I do not touch my business. I don't log into my Facebook group. I don't check my messages. I don't check my email. I don't send host coaching. I don't do any of those things. I close it out and I focus on my children's schoolwork. Now, I realize that not everyone here is a homeschooler, but I think the same kind of mindset can work for anyone who has a schedule that isn't the same from day to day, or anyone who might have young children at home, and we all know they're very unpredictable, and so you can't always just peg down everything. So, just to give you kind of an example of how this looks in my house. In the mornings, my older 2 children wake up, and they are 12 and 10, and so they are older, and I kind of tag them in for breakfast duty for their younger siblings. I have always allowed my children to help me in the kitchen, and so both of them are very capable of making very simple breakfasts. They can pour cereal, they can make oatmeal, they can scramble eggs. My 12-year-old can actually make muffins and pancakes from scratch, and while not everybody's children can do that, it's definitely a help to me. I always foster the idea in our family that we're a team and we're all helping each other, and they love to do it. They like MasterChef Junior, so they feel like they're all fancy. And so they will help their younger siblings eat their breakfast. And while they're doing that, I try to take some time, 30 minutes, sometimes an hour, depending on what is going on, to really spend some time touching my business. And then we get closer to the 9 o'clock hour and I close it down and I don't touch it anymore. And then the rest of the day after that, I require naps in my house for anyone under age 6. And so those children go to sleep and the other children have an instituted quiet time where they have to separate from one another, no loud playing or obnoxious noise. They can get a book, they can get activity books, wipe cleans are really good, maze books, and they have to just sort of occupy themselves for at least an hour quietly. And this is another time where I might sit down to work. But on some days we have extracurricular activities, so that doesn't happen. One day a week my son has guitar lessons. We also have archery club. We also have, like I said, I'm here at the softball field. There's all sorts of things that sometimes throw a wrench in our plans. So on those days, instead of getting upset that I don't have that designated couple of hours in the afternoon, I will just remind myself, you know, I can fit this in another pocket of time. I like to remain fluid with my schedule and just remind myself there are no book emergencies. I also really took to heart what Heather Cobb mentioned at convention last year about anchor tasks, and I preached this to my team, and this can work no matter what style of time management works best for you. The night before, I try to really hone in on 5 to 8 tasks that I feel are the most important for me to put my time and attention on the next day. And so when my day starts and I get those little brief moments of time, I will just start ticking down that list, working on those things, whether that's host coaching my parties for the next week, whether it's touching base with my promotion bound central group members, whether it's reaching out to certain leaders to check in with them to see if they need anything, whether it's finding more bookings for my calendar, whatever the goals that I have and tasks that I'm working towards, I assess what is most important to help me reach that place. And those are the things that when I get those little snippets of time that I will hone in on. And I've learned to tame my goal a little bit. And if for some reason I don't get all the way through the list, then I'll just roll them over to the next day. And that'll start my anchor list for the next day. And then in the evenings, which are always hectic with any children, but particularly with 5, I kind of just work in snippets, you know, after dinner when they're, you know, taking baths and getting ready for bed, I'll do a brief little bit of work. And then once they go to bed, I'll work in a little bit of pocket of time before the baby wakes up and needs help going back to sleep. So basically, I know that there are set hours of the day that I will not work, but I allow the rest of my day to be open to it. And that can change. So if you're on vacation, for instance, or you want to take a break or you need a few days to recharge, it's okay to move that around and say, okay, today I'm not going to work from 10 a.m. till 5 p.m. so that I can fit in this. And then the rest of the day is open for you to get back to those anchor tasks. So I just want to encourage you to not feel like you can't manage your business just because you can't squeeze in set business hours with the way that your life works. We all have different lives and different things that go on and throw wrenches in our schedules. So it's definitely possible, even as a goal, to be a little bit more fluid with your time management and grow a successful business. If you have any questions about this, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to chat. And why don't we drop below, what is the one thing in your life right now that you feel hinders you the most from having designated times to work your business?